بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا القاسم المصطفى محمد
اللهم صل على محمد
وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. We have two more sections of the book left. One is about al-Usul al-Amaliyya and the other one is في تعارض الأدلة الشرعية. The discussion about when different references, conflict. We had ta'adul and tarajih in the previous book. With respect to al-usul al-amaliyya, practical principles, as you remember in the previous book, we said that sometimes we don't have any way to establish our primary ruling. Al-hukm al-waqi'i, al-awwali, we don't know the real hukm. But Sharia would not leave us in doubt. We have to do something. For example, you don't know whether something is wajib or not, something is haram or not. Something is, for example, wajib or haram. There can be different cases in which you have doubts. Here we have a set of 4 practical principles. And these 4 can solve all the problems. They would not tell us what is al-hukm al-waqi'i, but they tell us what to do in such circumstances. Okay? For example, asalatul halli, asalatul bara'a. When you don't know there is an obligation, you assume there is no obligation. Practically, you cannot say, I swear by God that there is no ruling here. But you practically are free. You have no responsibility here because it's not established for you, it's not proved for you. Unless it is proved, your zimma is free. Okay? So, al-usul al-amaliyya are those practical principles that come and help us, come and rescue us from confusion when you don't know what to do. There are more than 4 practical principles actually. But these 4 are those which are general and can be applied to different sections of fiqh. Otherwise, in some sections of fiqh, we may have also some practical principles that would pertain to those sections. For example, asalatul tahara. This is also a practical principle, but this is only good for kitabut taharati wal najas. Or asalatul sihha fi fi'l al-muslim. This can be good in, for example, dhibh, in cleaning, several issues. But these 4 can be useful in entire fiqh, from kitab al-tahara ila kitab al-diyat. You can use these 4 principles. And as you remember, we had this also in a question for exam, that how do you explain that the practical principles are only 4? Yeah. They cannot be more. Yeah, we said, and I repeat, because it's also here. Sometimes you don't know if there was a previous condition, and sometimes you know. So sometimes we have a previous condition, which is known to us. There is al-halatu sabiqatul mutayaqqana. There's a previous condition which is known we know for sure. Okay? Here what you do? Istishab. You assume that that condition is still in effect. For example, something was wajib. You doubt whether it has been now cancelled or not. You assume it's still wajib. You had tahara. You don't know whether you slept or not. You assume your wuzu is still in effect. Because there is al-hala al-sabiqa al-mutayaqqana. Yeah, it's certain yaqeen. Sometimes there is no such previous condition. You don't have certain, condition of mind about previous circumstance. Here again, it's divided to types. Sometimes you know that there has been taklif. Sometimes you don't know that there has been taklif. There has been an obligation. So the very existence of obligation is in question or it's out of question. But both of these types are for what? When there is no halat sabiqah. So to begin with, we say either there is halat sabiqah or there is no halat sabiqah. If there is halat sabiqah, istishab. If there is no halat sabiqah, again, it's divided into two. You know that there has been a taklif or you don't know. If you don't know, bara'ah. Okay? Assumption. If you know that there has been taklif, can you do ihtiyat or not? Because if you can do ihtiyat, you must do ihtiyat. Because taklif is proved. And now you have to make sure that you come out of taklif. So if you need to repeat, if you need to do several times, you have to do it. Because taklif is known. Now you have to make sure that you have done your taklif. Al-ishtighalu al-yaqini yastad'i al-faragh al-yaqini. When you know for sure taklif has applied to you, has belonged to you, now you have to make sure that you fulfill it. If there is no possibility of ihtiyat, then you have choice. For example, it's a matter of wujub and hurma. How can you do ihtiyat? There's no possibility of ihtiyat. So you assume either wujub or ihtiyat. Or hurma.
Either one of it.
So here, yes, we call it takhir. You have choice. So al-istishab, al-bara'ah, al-ihtiyat, al-takhir. Istishab, when previous condition is known for sure. Al-bara'ah, when there is no previous condition and we don't know whether there has been taklif or not. Al-ihtiyat, when there is no previous condition and we know that there has been taklif, so we have to do ihtiyat if it's possible. If there is no previous condition and we know there has been obligation and there is no possibility of taklif, then you have choice. Okay? So this gives you a rational explanation why Usul al-Amaliyah are 4, why they cannot be 5 or 3. Now we can go to the book. Al-Usul al-Amaliyah. I am sorry if this discussion is very easy for you. I hope you don't mind, you don't feel offended, that it's too easy for you. قد عرفت أن المكلف الملتفت إلى الحكم الشرعي. You have known. We said Ayatollah Subhani is
Very hopeful.
very optimistic. أن المكلف الملتفت إلى الحكم الشرعي إما يحصل له القطع أو الظن أو الشك. مكلف, a person who is mature, aqil, and has power. Because for taklif there are conditions, yeah? You know that?
Yeah.
So when he pays attention to religious ruling, al-multafatu ila al-hukm al-shar'i, wants to understand what is my practical ruling, sometimes he would be able to come to a point of certainty. Qat'. Sometimes there is one, yeah, conjecture, more than 50%. Sometimes it's shak, 50-50. وَقَدْ فَرَغْنَا عَنْ حُكْمِ الْقَطْعِ وَالظَّنِّ. We have, alhamdulillah, already finished the discussion about certainty and dhan. And we mean by dhan, al-dhannul mu'tabar. Because we said dhan is not proof, is not hujjah, is not valid, unless it comes with certain conditions. Like, for example, if it is khabar wahid, if it is, for example, qawl al-luqawi, according to some people, if it is zahir, al-ma'na al-zahiri, these are dhan, but وحان حين البحث عن حكم الشك. Now it's the time to talk about the ruling pertaining to doubt. When you are 50-50, for example. لا يخفى أن المستنبط إنما ينتهي إلى الأصول العملية إذا لم يكن هناك دليل قطعي كالخبر المتواتر أو دليل علمي. The way you read shows whether you understood or not. And if you read it properly, you can analyze the sentence. أن المستنبط, it shouldn't be hidden. Yeah, لا يخفى means it's not hidden. Means it's clear. That mustanbit, who is mustanbit?
Mujtahid.
The one who wants to
Do istinbat.
to find out the religious ruling, goes to practical principles when there is no certain or decisive reason or dalilun ilmi. What is the difference between dalilun qat'i and dalilun ilmi? Dalilun qat'i means 100%, like khabar mutawatir. When you have khabar mutawatir, there is no doubt. Even 1%, 2%, no. But sometimes this dalil is not qat'i, but it's ilmi, means scientifically we can accept it. We can establish this as a proof, not 100%, but still valid. Like khabar wahid. If a reliable and honest person reports something, do you become 100% sure? No. But still, according to methodology that we have, we can rely on this. أو دليل علمي كالظنون المعتبرة, like those conjectures which are valid, التي دل على حجيتها الدليل القطعي. We have decisive proof to argue for validity of this type of dhunun. So, although khabarul wahid would not make us sure about its content, but about the validity of khabar wahid we are sure. Like taqleed. When you follow a mujtahid who is qualified, you don't become certain about this particular fatwa. But you are certain that fatwa of this mujtahid is valid for you to follow. You understand the difference? دل على حجيتها الدليل القطعي. Decisive reason has indicated that it is valid. تسمى بالأمارات, not إمارات. أمارات, the plural for أمارة means signs, evidence. These are called al-amarat wal-adilla al-ijtihadiyya. Opposite to this is al-usul al-amaliyya, which we call them al-adillatul fiqahiyya. Just, this is a kind of, agreement that they use these terms. Otherwise, al-fiqah wal-ijtihad are not different, literally. Okay. بذلك تقف على ترتيب الأدلة في مقام الاستنباط. So according to what we have said, based on what we have said, now you understand the order. Which order you have to follow with respect to the proofs or arguments. First, you go for yaqeen. Second, you go for al-adillatul ijtihadiyya. Third, if you don't have yaqeen, if you don't have al-adillatul ijtihadiyya, al-adillatul fiqahiyya, which helps you to understand practical rulings. Yeah? Usul al-amaliyya. إن الأصول العملية المعتبرة, those practical principles which are valid, وإن كانت كثيرة, although they are many, but most of them are for particular sections, particular chapters of fiqh. كأصل الطهارة. أصالة الطهارة كل شيء لك طاهر حتى تعلم أنه نجس بعينه. This is not something that you can use it, for example, in Kitab al-Zakat. Yeah, you can use it in particular sections. أو أصل الحلية. كل شيء لك حلال حتى تعرف أنه حرام. This also comes in certain issues, eating and drinking and this type of thing. أو أصالة الصحة المختصة بعمل صدر عن الشخص وشك في صحته وفساده. أصالة الصحة can be used when someone has done something. You don't know whether he has done it in a proper way or in a mistaken way, whether it's valid or not valid. So أصالة الصحة في فعل المسلم says assume, just practically assume that he has done it properly. Okay? For example, you give your najis dress to someone who is Muslim and he says, I have washed it for you. You assume that it is okay. Or someone has done a dhibh. He's a Muslim. You assume that he has done dhibh properly. Okay? You are not sure. But you can use this as a practical principle. But this cannot be used in all sections of fiqh. أصالة الصحة المختصة بعمل صدر عن الشخص وشك في صحته وفساده. An action which has been issued from someone and you don't know whether it's valid or not. أما الأصول العملية العامة. But those practical principles which are general that the mujtahid can use and can appeal to in all sections and chapters of fiqh, they are 4. فهي 4 تعرف ببيان مجاريها. We can now define them by explaining majra. Majari is the plural for majra, where each of them can apply. Like for example, water goes to this direction. For example, this is a river bed. This is called majra. We want to see where each of these 4 principles apply. Yes.
Shaykhna, these usul which are not general, like Asalat al-Tahar,
Yeah.
can we say that these are sort of extensions of these 4 main ones? Like for example, Asalat al-Tahar being some sort of extension of Asalat al-Bara'ah?
Some of them, yes. But for example, Asalat al-Sihah fi fi'l al-Muslim, what can you say about that?
Bara'ah, maybe.
It's complicated form of Bara'ah, yes.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Can we open the door? Is there any practical principle that can help us? Window or door or here is good. Here I think is enough. Fresh air. Thank you. it was not haram, we assume that it's it's istishab. Okay. Thank you. I hope you don't feel cold.
Now we have takhir.
Okay. Okay. Now we want to explain why we opened the door. We opened the door to these four principles. Okay. لأن الشك إما أن تلاحظ فيه الحالة السابقة أو لا. Don't say أولا. It's أو لا, not أولا. Yeah. Doubt either is a doubt in which a previous condition has been considered or no. So there are two options. Either you have al-halatu sabiqa, something which is established. If it is, even if, Salaam alaikum, even if the previous condition is dubious, no. Consider. So, either we can have a previous condition for sure or no. وعلى الثاني means if we don't have previous condition. إما أن يكون الشك في أصل التكليف, we don't know there has been any obligation at all. Or no. Or no means we know that there has been taklif. وعلى الثاني, if we know that there has been taklif, إما أن يمكن الاحتياط أو لا. Either we can do احتياط or we cannot do احتياط. فالأول, when there is حالة سابقة, مجرى الاستصحاب is where, because مجرى here is اسم المكان, محل الجريان, because مجرى can be مصدر ميمي, مجرى can be اسم الآلة, can be اسم الزمان, can be اسم المكان. All of them can be مجرى. Here it's اسم المكان, محل الجريان. So when there is no حالة سابقة, we don't do istishab. But when there is حالة سابقة, we do istishab. فالأول مجرى الاستصحاب. والثاني, what is الثاني? When there is no حالة سابقة and أصل التكليف مشكوك. Yeah? The existence of taklif is dubious. مجرى البراءة. We assume that there is no taklif. والثالث, when there is no حالة سابقة and we know that there has been taklif. أصل التكليف معلوم. So here you have to do احتياط. مجرى الاحتياط. Because you can do احتياط. والرابع, when there is no حالة سابقة, أصل التكليف معلوم, and there is no possibility of احتياط. Okay, you don't have any choice other than تخير. Okay? توضيحه. Let us have more explanation. إذا شك المكلف في حكم أو موضوع كان على يقين منه في السابق. When a mukallaf doubts about a hukm or mawzu, please remember, we always have two types of shubha. Sometimes we have shubha about hukm, sometimes we have shubha about mawzu, about case. Sometimes you don't know whether something is halal or haram because the ruling is not known. For example, is smoking haram or not? This is not a shubhatul mistaqiyya. This is shubhatul mafhumiyya or shubhatul hukmiyya. Yeah? Because you don't know what is Islamic ruling about, for example, smoking. Suppose, shorbut tutun or at-tadkhin. Sometimes you know the hukm, but you don't know the case. For example, is this blood or not? You know that blood is najis, but you have shubhatul mistaqiyya. Okay? So, كما إذا كان على طهارة. So شك المكلف في حكم أو موضوع كان على يقين. He has doubt about حكم or موضوع, but this is something that he was sure about it in the past. For example, كان على طهارة. He was sure that he had tahara, and he is now still sure. He knows that his body was clean, his dress was clean, or he had wuzu, depending what type of tahara we are meaning here. ثم شك في ارتفاعها. Then he is doubting. Maybe my tahara is finished. For example, maybe I slept when I was, for example, tired. You know, sometimes it happens that you are not sure whether you slept or not. Yeah, this can happen. So here we say that because the previous condition is known, فبما أن الحالة السابقة ملحوظة غير ملقاة تكون مجرى الاستصحاب. Because the previous condition is known and is valid, we do istishab. Of course, there are conditions, شروط المقررة. If you remember, we said, for example, in istishab, there must be muqtazi. You know, for example, just as a day-to-day example, day-to-day life. If a person was alive, the last time you met him, last year, he was alive. Now, you don't know whether he is dead or alive. You can assume that he is alive. But if that person was already very old, 80 years old, 90 years old, and now it is 50 years after the last meeting. So it means 50 plus 80 or 50 plus 90. You cannot do istishab here. Yeah? Because we don't know that there was such iqtiza for him to live such long. You understand? If it's a young person, middle-aged person, and the time that you want to bring the previous condition forward is short, it's okay. But the person has already lived a lot, and then you want to extend with istishab another 50, 60 years. You cannot say, that I do istishab. Is it clear? So there are conditions. Muqtaziyah. There are conditions that inshallah we discuss when we study istishab.
But istishab means conjecture, does it?
No.
Thinking?
Istishab means to bring something forward. So something about the past, you assume that still it is going on.
Continuity, right?
Yes, exactly. Continuity in this sense, that in the past it was known. For example, there was a masjid that every Jum'ah they had du'a nudbah. This Jum'ah you don't know whether they still have du'a nudbah or maybe they stopped. So we do istishab. We assume that they're still going on. I haven't heard anything, that they canceled. So I go on. Of course, istishab should be about religious rulings, but I'm giving you some practical examples because some people say istishab is something that uqala do in their life, it's nothing only for religion. الثاني إذا لم تكن الحالة السابقة ملحوظة. The previous condition is not considered. Means you cannot have any condition for sure. You don't know what was the case before. وتعلق الشك بأصل التكليف. And without the very existence of obligation. Maybe there was no obligation at all here. كما إذا شك في حرمة التدخين. Suppose someone has doubt about prohibition of smoking. فهي مجرى البراءة. Here we refer to براءة. We say there is no taklif, so you can do this. Of course, nowadays many ulama say smoking is not prohibited. Is not permitted. It's prohibited because although we don't have a specific text, for example, about smoking, but we have general rules about prohibition of anything which is harmful to your health. Okay? But suppose you don't have such evidence, or in the past you didn't have such evidence, and there is no taklif here, therefore, sure, so you can do bara'ah. Like for example, some people today say coffee is harmful, tea is harmful. Some people say it's good. You keep hearing opposite things. Okay, is it haram now for us? You say we don't know any taklif here established for us, so you can still drink tea or coffee because it's not established. Maybe a day comes that we realize that drinking tea or coffee is like smoking. Maybe, we don't know, but till that time comes, enjoy your tea and coffee. Yes.
What about if it's a شبهة موضوعية or مصداقية?
Pardon?
What if it's a شبهة موضوعية or مصداقية? The حكم is not, the case is unknown.
Yeah. So, for example, you don't know whether this is najas, so that you cannot drink. So you can assume that there is no taklif, there is no hurma, and you can drink.
But the text is
Misdaq is you know the ruling, but you don't know this case. So you know that najas is not to be, eaten or drunk, but you don't know whether this is najas or not.
So why is the text specifying وتعلق الشك بأصل التكليف? Why is it specifying this? Why is it not general?
Yeah, asl taklif for both of them.
For both of them.
For both of them, whether it's for hukm or misdaq, asl taklif in this case is not known. فهي مجرى البراءة. الثالث إذا لم تكن الحالة السابقة ملحوظة. The previous condition is not known. وعلم بأصل التكليف. And you know there is obligation. Obligation can be wujub, obligation can be hurma, but something serious. ولكن شك في متعلقه. But there is a doubt about what this taklif has belonged to. Okay. If ihtiyat is mumkin, كان الاحتياط ممكنا, then you have to do ihtiyat. So the third condition is when ihtiyat is mumkin. You have to do ihtiyat. For example, you know that day of Jum'ah, like any other day, you have a taklif at midday to pray, to say your prayer. There is taklif. You cannot say Zuhr al-Jum'ah, maybe there is no salat. No, there is salat every day. But the only thing you don't know is not aslu taklif. The only thing that you don't know is what taklif has belonged to, muta'allaq taklif. Is it Zuhr or Jum'ah? You have to do Salatul Dhuhr or Salatul Jum'ah. One of them, definitely. Here, what should you do? Your aql tells you that you have to do both. Because here, ihtiyat is mumkin. And if you don't do both, and you just do one of them, there is a chance that you may have not performed what you had to do. Okay? So you have to do both.
Can you give me an example of غير ممكن احتياط؟
Yes.
غير ممكن.
The next one.
آه.
أو علم بوجود النجاسة. The first one is about wujubi. The second is about tahrimi. For example, we know there is one najis here. I don't know, is it this cup of water or that cup of water? One of these two. But definitely there is one which is najis and I have to avoid. Which one, I don't know. I avoid both of them. Okay? فهي مجرى الاحتياط. The fourth type is لم تكن الحالة السابقة ملحوظة. The previous condition is not known. علم بأصل التكليف. You know that there is taklif and احتياط is not possible. Because they are conflicting. We say دوران الأمر بين المحظورين. Your option are unfortunately conflicting, contradicting. Yes.
The previous condition is not known, and
Taklif is known,
taklif is known, but
and ihtiyat is not possible. Okay. Here, sometimes you know taklif. For example, you know that one of the two actions is wajib and the other is haram, and you don't know which one. So you have takhir. You do one of them and you don't do the other. Okay?
Is it ihtiyat?
No. One of them is wajib, the other is haram. How can you do ihtiyat?
No,
But you don't know which one.
so how can we do one if we are
So-
doing haram?
So don't do both and don't stop both. Just do one and leave the other.
according to Apple.
Pardon?
According to Apple.
Yes. Yes.
Shaykhna, with the previous example about 2 cups of water, for example, where you don't know what is najis. But say if we were in an emergency situation where you have to use one of them, you can't not use any of them. So it becomes like one of them is wajib and one of them is haram, but you don't know which one's which. So in this case, it's also takhir.
It's takhir. You know you have to take one, and you know one of them is problem. So here you cannot do ihtiyat.
Do
You have-
qur'ah or istikhara or
Just takhir. Of course, there are people who say Qur'an, but you can do just your own choice. Make your own choice. Sometimes,
Real example of this.
pardon?
Can we have a real example of this?
Yeah,
Takhir, like where we have
yeah. For example, we have one cup of liquid that we know it's poison, so you cannot drink. And we know and we have another cup of liquid that it's your medicine, which saves you from death. You must drink, but you don't know which one is poison, which one is medicine. What should you do?
avoid both.
Pardon?
Avoid both.
If you drink both, you will definitely die.
You avoid both, yeah, so you don't die for some time.
If you avoid both, also you die.
You make
Because you are not taking your medicine and you are dying.
So you basically gamble.
No,
So take one of them.
no, we call you for istikhara, Shaykh.
The example of namaz al-Jum'ah, like Pakistani's ruling is that it's wajib takhiri, namaz al-Jum'ah, in the absence of Quran. So would that example fit in here somehow?
No. Because there we don't have a problem with ihtiyat. You can do both. No problem doing both. Therefore, when he says takhir, he has reason for takhir. It's not because ihtiyat was not possible.
So we the followers really practically we do either or.
That ihtiyat is mustahab. According to some maraja, ihtiyat is wajib to do dhuhr and jum'ah. According to some, is mustahab to do both. But it's different from here because not Ihtiyat is not impossible. You can do ihtiyat. Yes.
Shaykhna, I can think of an example where if you're a muhtat, you're not a muqallid, but the two maraji, one says that something is wajib and the other says it is haram.
Yeah.
So you'd be stuck in this situation. Do we have such a case where the same issue is one says haram, one says wajib?
Yeah, can be. For example, some people may say Salatul Eid in the time of Ghaiba is haram to be jama'ah. Some may say it's wajib. It's possible. Or, for example, also according to, some fatwas, today you must fast. According to some fatwa, today you must not fast. Then again, you cannot do ihtiyat. Yes, the only ihtiyat you can do is to travel. But between these two fatwas, there is no ihtiyat.
There's one confusing thing here about this poison and the medicine which would be life-saving. And you have to do a tawheed. And if you choose the poison, you die.
Yes.
So, no.
But there is a chance that you may not die. But if you take both, or you don't take any, you will definitely die. Yeah? If you take poison and medicine, you will die. If you don't take poison and medicine, again you die. So, take one of them so that there is a chance.
So, Shaykhna, how much does this come into fiqh? Probability?
A lot.
Probabilities, how much do they come into fiqh?
Not probability as such, because we normally have...
Probability becomes zan.
but for practical cases, it can be a lot, yes. Pardon?
Shaykhna, probability is more like zan, isn't it? 50%.
No,
More higher than 50%.
if dhan has, kind of backup, religious backup, yes. Otherwise, dhan and doubt are the same. Most of the time, whether you think 50-50 or 60-40 or 70-30, it doesn't make difference.
Unless you have evidence.
Yes. Okay. وَأُخْرَى. Another time, أخرى means taratan أخرى, yeah? Another time that ihtiyat is not possible. يَكُونُ مَجْهُولًا. Sometimes we have a case that we don't know whether there is taklif of wujub or hurma. One of them is there, which one is we don't know. For example, كما إذا دار حكم فعل, a single fail, a single action, we don't know whether it is wajib or haram. The previous one was two things: drinking medicine or drinking poison. One is wajib, one is haram. Here is one thing. Is it wajib or haram? So for example, Salatul Eid jama'atan in the time of Ghaiba. Is it wajib or haram? Okay? So now that you have understood the four types of Usul Amaliyah and where each of them can be applied, now we have to go into details about each of them. وَلْنُقَدِّمِ الْبَحْثَ عَنِ الْبَرَاءَةِ أولا ثم التخيير ثم الاحتياط ثم الاستصحاب. We don't follow the same order. If we wanted to follow the same, we should have talked first about istishab. Yeah? But the proper, or maybe I don't say proper, the normal way that in the textbooks of Usul they discuss is they start with bara'ah, then takhir, then ihtiyat, then istishab. So he says to respect the conventional order, we follow the same order in this book. We talk first about bara'ah, then about takhir, then ihtiyat, then istishab. Okay? But rationally, we said istishab is first. Okay, so inshallah, in the next session, we will talk about asalatul bara'ah. Inshallah, we would have good discussion on asalatul bara'ah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.